AEW Dynamite Bash at the Beach took place last night, and the show was a theme show of more of a WCW old pay-per-view Bash at the Beach, but they weren't actually at the beach. I thought they were going to be at a beach, because WCW used to do it right at a beach at times. Those beach shows were so much fun. WCW was a lot of fun. All of those Nitros, those Mall of America shows, they were really very gimmicky, but they were a lot of fun to watch. I wish AEW would do more stuff like that, but they weren't actually at a beach. It was basically just a beach setup. We saw some hot chicks. It's basically as lifeguards, lifeguard chairs. That's basically what we saw here. You really did not get more of an actual beach set, but it was a similar set actually. I think when they did this show in July or whatever, was that their second show? I think it was the one in it wasn't Fight for the Fallen, it was Fyter Fest, was similar to that, the setup. Anyway, they started off with a graphic for Rocky Johnson, who passed away. I did my tribute video, you can watch that. JR then mentioned Pompeo Firpo, who died, and La Parca, and Kendo Nagasaki, who all passed away. So a lot of wrestling deaths. They start to show off with the Fatal 4-Way #1 contender tag team titles. Winner gets a title shot. You have Adam Hangman Page and Kenny Omega against the Young Bucks, against the Best Friends, Trent Beretta and Chuck Taylor, and against Santana and Ortiz of the Inner Circle. Hell of a matchup here. Man, this was a great matchup. This was a lot of fun to watch. AEW Dynamite really kicked ass to start the show. Young Bucks are always great for openers. They really did well here. It was a very fun match. It was one of those situations where you assumed, Hangman Page and Omega were going to win, which they ended up doing. But, Omega and, Young Bucks had a shot. Santana Ortiz had a shot. So I think they were all believable, but you did know, Hangman Page and Omega are probably going to win. And it's probably going to be Hangman turning on Omega in the tag team match, which cost them the match against, who are they facing, SCU, and probably leads to a Hangman Omega feud. I think that's where we're headed. Anyway, this was a very entertaining matchup here. A lot of action, a lot of Young Bucks style action, a lot of big spots, kick-outs. Orange Cassidy jumped in, which was great. Orange Cassidy is hilarious. I always say this, he looks exactly like Jason Solomon from the Solomon Monster Sounds Off. That's all I think when I see Orange Cassidy. These guys are very entertaining here. There was a Meltzer driver that was teased, but they blocked it. Page blind tagged himself in. Omega hit Taylor with a V-trigger. Omega and Page hit a combination of a V-trigger and a back buckshot lariat by Hangman Page. Looked really cool, like two big shots. And Hangman Page, they hit on Chuck Taylor. Hangman Page pins Taylor. 1, 2, 3. That is it. And that's it. Kenny Omega and Hangman Page win. Matt Jackson was actually upset with Adam Hangman Page, but they shook hands, and Omega and the Bucks talked it out while they all shook hands. So there's this dissension there with Adam Page in particular, but Kenny Omega with the win. Even though they're teasing heat between him and the Bucks, eventually Hangman's going to turn on Omega, and that'll set up a big feud, I assume. Cody comes up for a promo. He asked for MJF stipulation. She said he addressed each one. He said he was willing to take lashes. He said MJF had Paget parent paraded him on the Rosie O'Donnell show at 7 years old. I'm not sure about that. He said old school guys like MJF and call him a true old school heel. They say less is more, but really MJF does less because he's not able to do more. He said MJF maybe should start carrying Wardlow's bags instead of the other way around. He accepted all of his steps, and he basically said, you can give him 20 lashes or whatever. So Cody did very well here. Very good promo by him. So we're starting off a great opener now. Very good promo by Cody Rhodes. Next, we go to a backstage video, pre-tape promo from Joey Janela. Talks about Penelope Ford. I want to see more Penelope Ford. We haven't seen her too much. She is the best-looking woman they have. And they have some good-looking chicks there, certainly, but Penelope Ford's on a different level. She is gorgeous and she's really young, so she can absolutely be a star. Joey Janela talked about her, said it's a new year, but every time he saw his face on TV, he was getting punched in the balls by his ex-girlfriend. He says Penelope Ford can only make a name for herself or get herself over by mentioning him. He said Penelope Ford has a new side piece in Kip Sabian. He dared Sabian to cross line in front of him to see what happens to next year. He said last year he had a bad record, but he'll be right. He'll right the ship against Ray Phoenix next week. That's who he faces. And he said he's the backbone of AEW, and everyone will see why everyone calls Joey Janela a bad boy. Okay, next match, you go to a tag match, and Brandy Rhodes is awful. You have Brandy Rhodes and Mel against Chris Statlander and Hikaru Shida. This was okay. This is just kind of a situation where I don't know what they're doing with Brandy and Mel. Mel is, I don't know, this whole stuff with Awesome Kong and this whole gimmick, it's just, they have too many gothic, dark gimmicks. They have the Dark Order, that's one. They have Brandy's gimmick, that's two. And I think there's a third one. Who's the third? Darby Allin or whatever, his gimmick, Jimmy Havoc. Like, they have all these dark gimmicks. Just, it's a bit too much, I don't know. It's like, what are you trying to do? Attract 13-year-old girls or 13-year-old boys, gothic boys who heard metal the first time? And is that what your audience is? That's not what wrestling, I don't know. I think more wrestling fans just want actual wrestlers. And you look at the crowd, it's all adult men, so I think you just stick to wrestling, man. Anyway, this was okay. Shida is very good, but I can clearly tell how there is such a massive gap in women wrestling in AEW and NXT. NXT has the best women's division maybe they've ever had. Their women's division is loaded. It's amazing. They have an amazing women's division. AEW's women's division is very weak, so there's a massive. You watch the two shows, there's such a big gap. In particular, just that I think it gives NXT the edge. But NXT's women's division blows AEW's out of the water. So Mel loses to Chris Statlander. She hits a package tombstone. Brandy yells at her after the match. Match was okay. It was fine. It wasn't too bad. It's not a fan of this whole gimmick. Dark Order video package. The Unseen Leader. They mentioned Micah Nakazawa and Hangman Page as potential recruits. Who cares? This stuff sucks. It's not going to be Marty the Squirrel because he signed with Ring of Honor. I think he's a booker there. So no Marty, thankfully. I assumed they could go someone else, but hopefully not. Sammy Guevara entered. He comes out and he faces Jon Moxley. Very good matchup here. Big fan of both those guys. Sammy Guevara has a lot of potential. He can be one of the top stars they have. He's very young. Moxley's obviously great. Good matchup here. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching it. I like both of them. It was entertaining. You had a commercial break, but you did have this whole tiny screen in the commercial. Near the end, Moxley teases a top rope paradigm shift, but Guevara fought it off. He hit a top rope Spanish fly for near fall. Guevara hit a knee strike. To finish off, Guevara goes to the top. He went for a moonsault. Moxley caught him coming off the top and then locked a rear naked choke with a body scissors, and Guevara tapped out, which was a good ending, and Moxley with the win. However, here's the big angle. After the match, Jericho's music hits. The lights go out. Lights come on. It's Jericho, Jake Hager, Santana, and Ortiz all in the ring. So all the inner circles there. Santana and Ortiz use their loaded socks on Moxley to beat him up. Guevara slaps him in the face after the match. Hager hits a low blow. They beat him up. Moxley's demoralized. Chris Jericho removes one of the metal spikes from his jacket and he spikes it into Jon Moxley's eye. Holy shit. The gory, gross, disgusting, evil segment of the night. Jericho tries to cut Moxley's eye out with his spike. Vicious segment. That was great. It was brutal. I loved it. That was an amazing. I can't wait for their match when they have it. I don't know when the pay-per-view is, but man, that's going to be fun. So they go to commercial. Jericho comes back, and it's, what's that girl? Jen Stager, is that her name? Oh my god, she's so fucking hot. I saw her new leaked photos. Jesus, she's hot, I have to say. My god. Anyway, Jericho cuts a promo. He promised to do the same thing to Jungle Boy next week, what he did to Moxley tonight. He made several jokes on Moxley not being able to keep an eye on him, which was kind of funny. The inner circle leaves, and then at the end, Sammy Guevara tells Jen to call him, which was funny. Next, we have Diamond Dallas Page wrestling. It's Diamond Dallas Page, Justin Rhodes, QT Marshall against MJF, Butcher Blade, the Butcher and the Blade with Bunny Alley, who's always nice to see Alley. MJF wore I Bang Dallas's daughter t-shirt to the ring, which was funny. So I like how JR always calls him Matthew. So this was fun. This was a good match. This was entertaining. DDP does crazy stuff here. Diamond Dallas Page, I see in his 60s, he has to be, because he got such a late start. I don't know, maybe he's not in his 60s. He could be 50s, 60s. I'm going to check right now. Hold on. I apologize for taking so much time. Yeah, I think he's Diamond Dallas Page is 63 years old. Yeah, so you had a 63-year-old in this match climb to the top turnbuckle while all the wrestlers on the other side, does a diving crossbody from the top turnbuckle, taking everyone out. He's in amazing shape, but holy shit, he's 63! 63 years old? Was Flair doing this? Well, Flair was 59 when he retired. But holy shit, a 63-year-old man. Anyway, Paige, that was nuts. Paige was awesome here. This was a fun match. When DDP got the hot tag into that was when the match got went nuts. People love DDP here. Dustin hit a destroyer on MJF. He hit a diamond cutter. He tried to get the win. And once they did the big dive, that's when the DDP did it. That's when everyone went crazy. However, QT Marshall comes back inside. MJF gets a schoolboy quickly. 1, 2, 3. Pins QT. He gets the win. DDP didn't look too different than he did 20 years ago, but MJF and the heels get the win there. We see the beautiful Jen Decker, which I love seeing her, backstage at SCU. Honestly, I'd like to see Jen Decker and Penelope Ford next year. I wonder who's hotter, because those are probably the two best looking chicks. She's with SCU. Hangman interrupts him, and he has a drink in his hand, and then Omega tries to hold them back, and they set it up. So, they're setting up their big feud later in the show. Or the big match later, probably next pay-per-view. Next, you have Pac and Darby Allin as the main event. Good matchup here. I enjoyed it. Pac gets the win. Good main event here. He wins with his finisher. After the match, however, Tony Schiavone interviews Pac, and he announced next week a match between Pac and Mox of a number one contenders match. Pac said no. However, Mox comes out and he says, I forfeit. I'm coming for Jericho. He threw it backstage. Moxley was being loaded into the ambulance. Moxley broke out of the ambulance. And he says he doesn't care if he's won. He's going to win the match and kick Pac's ass next week. And he had that huge eye patch. Looked awesome. Can't wait. Set up perfectly. And next week, Jon Moxley versus Pac. Number one contender match. And the winner faces Chris Jericho for the AEW World Championship.